Okay, so let's dive into a little bit more of a deeper conversation, one that goes so deep that some people go ahead and get PhDs about it. Let's talk a little bit about music theory. In this course, we get to talk a little bit more about music theory than we would in our Ableton or sound design courses because those courses are focused more on the technical aspects. But music theory, at its core, is the technical aspect of why music sounds good. You may have heard of a major or minor key, but it's in essence some of the inner workings of why you might hear a song that feels happy or sad. And at its very core, music, and I don't want to sound a little heady here, but music is the art of decorating time with vibrations. That's what we're doing. Those vibrations and the combination of those vibrations can invoke feeling and emotion. So whether it's happiness, sadness, or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you could construct a chord structure that goes along with a very solemn bit of lyrics that you've written. All of these things are really good to keep in mind when you're thinking about music making, especially from the early steps. And yeah, everyone has a tendency, and also those tendencies tend to get fleshed out in genres. If we think about electronic dance music, much of it is in minor keys. And not all of it is, mind you, but if you are a fan of electronic music, maybe you're a bass head, or you like dubstep or even techno, you already know that those types of music are darker and they're a little bit deeper, and they can even sound ominous or scary, or to me, sometimes it just sounds a little bit cooler. Those are typically keys and chord structures that are combined in a way to make people feel a little bit on edge. Likewise, there's types of EDM out there that are not so much. Progressive house, tropical house. I mean, if you hear some of the like happier sounding beats maybe in the background of like a Target commercial, you'll understand that they're more uplifting and can give you a brighter mood, maybe a bit of energy. They're dancier, they're maybe a little bit faster, and we don't think of it often when we listen to music. In fact, even seasoned producers, we turn that switch off when we're listening to music and we just have a good time. But any bit of music, you can start to really analyze, and there are technical aspects to it, and there are emotional aspects to it, and there are human aspects to it. And music is one of those beautiful things where all of that stuff coalesces into one entity. That entity takes place over time. We decorate over time by using two really important pieces of musical tech. There is rhythm. So you could think of this in a traditional sense, like your percussion section. If you're familiar with the band section, you know there's bass drums, snare drums, cymbals, tambourines, shakers, and even a percussion section in an orchestra or a band still has stuff like marimbas, vibraphones, chimes, bells, all that good stuff. So even the percussion section can evoke that melodic or harmonic feeling over time. However, all of those instruments are meant to be very immediate. Staccato is a good term, or transient is another term that we'll talk about later, where the sounds come in and out, and then they're gone, like a finger snap or a clap, right? And because of this, it places percussion in the field of being able to count. We can hear a tempo over time. If we just hear a single note repeated, we start to understand where the beat is. How is the time moving? What is the time doing? And as we get a little bit more complex with our percussion, we can invoke even cooler movement and still have the same time. So if I'm clapping right now, just some simple notes, but then I change it up, we still feel the same beat, but now we are compelled to move differently with that beat. It's just as simple as adding one little clap in between two, and now we can change it up. And that's a simple example. Now, there's plenty of more complex examples to be had.
If you want more high-quality music education in your life, head to slamacademy.com to set up a free account. You'll get immediate access to a free course, community pages, and free downloadable resources, plus an insider view into the Slam Academy membership and all of our live instruction course offerings. Get started at slamacademy.com. Now let's get back into it.
Let's talk about the other very important part about music. That would be pitch. Now, we said music is essentially decorating time with vibration. Well, vibration at its core is all sound. It's really everything around us, but the vibrations of sound are such that we can hear them. Now, vibrations certainly are percussion, but many people think of vibrations or even vibes as the longer, more sustained notes. And that is, in essence, frequency. Frequency is a more scientific term for pitch. Frequency being how bright is this noise? Very low notes might have a low frequency. Very high notes would have a high frequency. Our human hearing can hear, technically, anywhere from 20 hertz, which is 20 cycles per second, to 20,000 hertz. So 20,000 cycles per second. So a little sound wave, if it's only going this fast, might be really low. But if it's spinning like crazy, it's a very high frequency, right? So those sustained notes, those sustained frequencies, if you hold a note like, oh, I'm emitting one frequency through my lungs. I'm not a trained singer, so I apologize. But as I move that frequency up and down, we start to invoke a little bit of emotion. And because I'm a human and I've heard music before, I know that certain frequencies start to feel like something like pitch, which is tied to our scales in modern music. Anywhere from C to B to D to F or whatever, all of that stuff is very common in modern, at least Western music. There's plenty of different types of music out there with plenty of different types of scales. We're going to keep it pretty simple, but regardless, frequency, the scientific term of what is the hertz of this note, of this sound wave going on, ties directly into the pitch that we hear. And so whereas the percussion section helps us get a grip or a sense of the timing of where is our music going and how should we move to it and how should we feel to it, maybe even how long is it going to persist, or even energy. The pitch or the frequency is what provides us the emotional context for how we should feel during the piece of music. And not only that, but as we move from one pitch to another, or maybe even a set of pitches to create a chord, to a whole other chord, we can start creating a little journey over time. So not only can you invoke one mood, but you can invoke a set of moods that makes you feel a particular way over time. A really good exercise, and it's not part of this class, but I'd love to just recommend it. Go listen to the music from Lord of the Rings, the movie, the original trilogy, and tell yourself that doesn't feel like music that accompanies a journey. It is one of the more brilliant examples of how you can invoke the feeling of just a journey through notes. Now, it's biased because we all know that music, but in itself, it feels like a journey. So that's my piece. Let's wait for the next video, and be sure to check out that trilogy music, because if you haven't listened to it in a while, it's still worth checking out.
Thanks for watching. Slam Academy is proud to provide industry-leading expert education to help you reach your musical goals. We provide an engaging and high-quality experience that is custom designed to help you get to the next level, with resources for every stage of the music production process. Head to slamacademy.com to claim your free sample course today.